All right, it is time now once again for the Dawn and Eli Take on the World podcast. My name is Elias Mellis, but you can call me Eli for short. And who is this incredibly lovely and smart lady to my right here that is incredibly amazing? She's amazing. You're amazing. Who are you?
Thank you. Well, hello. Welcome all. Appreciate y'all coming back and watching. My name is Dawn Ledgerwood, and I am Eli's girlfriend.
And you're also the Executive Vice President of the GNA and Director of Operations.
I am. That is correct.
That's right. That's right. We'll get more into that in just a bit, but let's get right to it, babe, and we'll get to everything else. Welcome back to another episode of the Dawn and Eli Take on the World podcast. This is episode number 67, and today's topic is, how are you surviving 2026 inflation? One more time. Episode number 67 of the Dawn and Eli Take on the World podcast is titled, How Are You Surviving 2026 inflation? Today, Dawn, we're talking about something that almost everybody is feeling. It doesn't matter whether you are working full-time, working several jobs, living on Social Security, running a small business, doing gig work, raising a family, or simply trying to keep a roof over your head. The cost of living has become extremely difficult for millions of people. Every time you go grocery shopping, you notice it. Every time you fill up your gas tank, you notice it. Every time you receive an insurance bill, a utility bill, a rent increase, or another unexpected expense, you feel it. And the frustrating part is that many people are working harder than ever. They are taking extra shifts. They are working weekends. They are driving for delivery apps. They are cutting back on things they enjoy. They are using credit cards to cover basic necessities. And yet, they still feel like they are falling behind. This isn't just about numbers on a financial report. This is about real people, real families, real stress, and real sacrifices. So again, today's episode is called, How Are You Surviving 2026 Inflation? We're going to get to that in just a second. But as always, before we get to that, I must ask my lovely lady over here to my right here, how has the past week gone for you here at the GNA organization, which is short for Genuine Networking Association?
Well, every week is a great week with the GNA. Always very inspiring and motivating. And, you know, it's a blessing to my life. And I know that it is a blessing to other people's lives as well. But yeah, no, it's been a great week. I've had a lot of conversations with family, planning the 4th of July barbecue, just odds and ends like that, running around, getting things ready for that. Which, by the way, we are recording this on Sunday, June
28th,
2026. So this will come out on Wednesday, July 1st.
2026, that's right.
So we want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July.
That's right. The 4th of July Independence Day here in the U.S. is this Saturday, July 4th, 2026. So
250 years.
That's right.
Yes, it's a big one, guys.
This is the big one.
It's the biggest one that we are all going to live through.
This is the one that our wonderful president, Mr. Donald J. Trump, has been talking about. I say that with sarcasm. I am not a Trump supporter, but
by all means, we are not supporters.
We are not. Anyway, we don't have to get into
neither here nor there. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own political views, you know?
You know, my love, I think Donald J. Trump is more of he's more of a performer for internet traction and to sell all of his other stuff that he's selling. he's more of a performer and a salesperson than a president. But anyway,
Absolutely. That's something that, like, my parents and us talk about a lot. So yeah, it's been something that has been going on for a while now. But yeah, no, inflation is a big cause of the presidential, this term that's going on. It has
this
a
is
lot.
all Trump.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with that. And so, and it all trickles back down to us, the taxpayers. And we're the ones that struggle.
Well, the citizens of the U.S., he's not only affecting the citizens of the U.S., he's affecting the world globally.
Yeah.
Because what we do here in the U.S. affects everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So you got one man, Donald J. Trump. And I really am going to do my best to not try and go on a rant regarding Trump this podcast episode, but this is all on him.
Yeah, I mean,
when he first came into office, he was saying he's gonna make things more affordable. Groceries, the price of groceries, and this and that. And he was criticizing, our last president, Joe Biden. But honestly, I mean, I would have rather had another 4 years of Biden.
Do you know what, honestly, why the egg prices went up is because there was a bird epidemic.
True.
And so at that time, the amount of eggs was less.
That was not Trump's fault.
That was not Trump's fault. That was not Biden's fault. You cannot prevent a bird epidemic.
But going to war was Trump's fault.
Yes. I'm talking grocery prices still,
Right.
The big thing was eggs,
Right.
Well, let's be real. It was not anybody's fault that the price of eggs went up other than the epidemics.
But what affects prices the most? It's
taxes, tariffs.
Fuel. Let's talk about fuel.
Oh, fuel, yes.
Because fuel is necessary to transport goods. Fuel is
and to transport us.
Well, that's true. That's true, right? Anyway, we'll get more into that as the show goes on. We don't want to make this all about Trump, but before we get into it, babe, anything else you want to mention? I mean, I think things have been going really great at the GNA lately. I've got to say, I'm very proud at the direction some people have chosen to go, especially the people out on the YouTube end of things. The video version of our podcast is on our main YouTube channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. We're also on the audio only network. We'll mention all those later on. But if you're watching or if you're listening to audio only, you can go in the description section and you can click a link to the video version of the same week's of that particular week's podcast. But on the YouTube end of things, Don and I are starting to see the people that were coming at us, the drama people, they've decided to go a different route.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we've stood tall on what we believe in, positivity. We want to bring more positivity to YouTube and the entire internet and make it a better and safer place for people to get what they want, to get the information that they need to survive in this world,
Yeah, and we're not sitting here taking any credit for anybody.
No.
Like moving on and going into a positive route. But I do want to say maybe they are following our lead and saying, you know what? Eli and Don are trying this positive thing. Seems to be working for them. Maybe we're going to try that instead of the, just the shit talking and the gossip and the drama and everything like that. I give them credit for that. I can't, they've done horrible things. Other people have done horrible things. But you know what? When I see a person standing up to make a change of who they are, I have to give them some credit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right is right and wrong is wrong. That's what people don't seem to get. It doesn't mean that, you're supporting your former worst enemies if they actually make a change and you're saying, hey, you acknowledge the change. It doesn't mean you've become their best friend or you've agreed with what they've done in the past. You're saying, hey, they're making a change and hopefully it's for the better and it stays that way. And again, right is right and wrong is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to say I'm just very pleased with the way things are going lately. I've been in a very good mood. I haven't created as much content on YouTube. Don and I have not created as much content on YouTube. We're going to get back to doing more of the live streams over there and get more involved. But we've had to shift gears, from producing as much content on YouTube and focusing on some other things to bring in some more money because of inflation. And not only that, we've had some other bills that we needed to take care of.
Well, yeah, everybody has, some random bill that, oh, here's the latest due date. Let me get this taken care of. Everybody has something like that, whether it's your car, whatever bill. But that's just what people have in life. And I think that right now, unfortunately, because everything is so expensive, a lot of people are, what did I used to say? Paying Paul and robbing Peter or something?
Robbing Peter to pay Paul,
exactly.
Right?
I was a little backwards on that one. But yeah, it's like they're going to have to just be, okay, we can pay this bill this month and we'll catch up. We'll pay that bill next month. And then, it's always a constant catch up game.
Right.
Is what's going on. Which, I hope changes for people because that.
Right.
As far as I could speak of my own situations in life, that has been a very discouraging thing when something you work so hard and you're doing well and then boom, something hits and the economy just flops, and prices are up and everything else,
Right.
You got to make adjustments in life. We've talked about expect the unexpected. This is the same stuff. That's why it's important to have savings. It's important to have stocks, investments, any, IRAs, all those other CD things. It's good to have a plan B and pivot.
But that might not even be enough.
That might not even be able to be done because people are literally living paycheck to paycheck down to the very last cent.
Well, even if you have a retirement plan, even if you have investments and stuff like that, that's providing you income, with inflation, yes, the stock market has gone up.
Well, see, yes.
Prices have also gone up.
Yes.
So that canceled itself out. And sometimes you need more income than what you just needed 6 months ago or a year ago for the same things.
Well, yeah, because do you anticipate gas prices going from mid $5 over here all the way up to almost $7? You don't really think it's going to jump that much. But when you go to war with Iran, you got to have to expect then there's going to be some gas issues there. And I would say right now, we've kind of plateaued and we're coming down.
Yeah, no, the gas prices are starting to slowly come back down. They've come back down about
20 cents.
20 to 30 cents, maybe in some areas 35 to 40 cents. But I mean, they're still in the mid fives to, high fives here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'm sure in Southern California, they're still over $6 a gallon. And in some areas back east where they're used to having, $3 gas and they're paying, $4.25, $4.50. That's for us.
Yeah.
For us here, $4.25.
That would be cheap.
Is cheap for us. For people back east and in the South where they were paying $3 or, under $3 a gallon, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Every demographic, every area is different. The cost of living is different in every area. Don and I just happen to live in an area, the San Francisco Peninsula, where this is one of the most expensive places to live in on the planet. But hey,
not on the planet. Come on, we're not that
one of the most. No.
I'm not even going to say on the planet. I would say maybe in the country of the United States. But we don't know what else is in other worlds.
I'm just letting you know. This is up there, one of the most expensive places to live anywhere. It may not be the most expensive, but it's definitely at least in the top 5, maybe top 3.
Okay, well, we'll have to chat with ChatGPT about that.
Oh, sure, no problem.
That'll end our debate later.
No, listen, I'm not going to argue you on that, baby. I mean,
There's no point when ChatGPT will just finish and it'll be done. There's no reason to argue now.
Oh man.
That's funny.
You know, if I lived anywhere else, my money would go so much further. I swear to God, I'd probably be rich. But
well, you should have moved in with me in Hollister then.
Well, even Hollister is getting expensive too. I mean,
it is getting very expensive.
Even though it's like an hour and 15 minutes, southeast of here. But anyway, let's go ahead and we have 10 questions here that we're gonna go over, and I'm gonna ask Dawn, and then I'm gonna respond. And we have 2 Reddit postings. If we have time, we're gonna try to keep this show short again this week, about an hour and a half or so, maybe an hour and 45 minutes at the most. We've got a lot of things going on, so we've had limited time for the podcast. Hopefully next week we can get back to our 2+ hour shows if necessary. But yeah, they're 2 great Reddit postings, so I hope we get to it. So let's get to the first of 10 questions, and let me ask you. We'll get through the first 5, then you'll take your break, your restroom break, and then we'll come back for the last 5, and then if we have time, we'll get into these Reddit postings. Question number 1, babe. What does inflation actually feel like in everyday life?
Feels like suffocation. It feels like a rat race where you keep running and you never get ahead. You think, oh, I got a raise and I'm going to be able to save money. And then boom, inflation. Now costs are up and you're having to use that savings to make up for that price increase. So, I mean, it's just, inflation could be a big slap in the frickin' face, when you're used to things going a certain way. You have a budget and then you have to rearrange that budget. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother ball game. That can create a lot of turmoil in families, relationships, stuff like that, it gets to a point where you're feeling like you have to borrow from people, and that's all a whole nother show,
Right.
But yeah, that's the first thing. Like, inflation it's scary.
It absolutely is. Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, let's say long-term inflation. 30 years ago, when I had my children, the homes were getting up there in price. In San Jose, where I was living, they were about $600-$700.
$600,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 600. Yeah, thank you.
If homes, wow.
Yeah, I would buy like 150
30 years ago for $700.
I'd buy 150 homes, but
probably.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
No, it was between 600 and 700,000.
Right.
And so, I mean, they're getting up there. My parents sold, but they were able to purchase the land outright. And so, I mean, there were things they were able to do.
You're skipping that. They moved to another area and
moved to another more
in the foothills.
In the mountains, not in the foothills. Yeah. We live in a foothill. This is barely a hill, so that's a foothill to me.
Yeah. When I say foothills, I mean they live in the mountains. They live
top of the mountain,
Central Valley area in the mountains in
Mariposa.
Yeah.
Anyways, now I got distracted. So
no, it's okay. It's just that I wanted to give a little more context.
Oh yeah, about the homes.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking like 30 years or 20 years from now, how are my children going to be able to afford a home?
Right.
What is the inflation going to be, and is the same inflation going to be in their pay? It's like to compensate that increase. You could go down back when we were buying cars, like at first, you can go down and maybe get a car for like what, $5,000,
$5-10,000.
Yeah. Now you're $60,000 on a new car, and that's cheap.
Yeah.
So yeah, things have changed a lot since we were kids to now, and from when my kids were kids to now their age.
Yeah, I mean, what was it, in 1998?
That's the year Jeremy was born.
When I got the Mustang convertible, it was still fully loaded and all that. It was still about $25,000. But there were cheaper cars. I mean, I wanted to get a sports car and this and that. Right now, they're in the 35 to 40 range. And depends. You can even get them more expensive. Cars. Cars nowadays pretty much cost the price of what homes used to cost, right? You can get cars
Yes.
for $100,000, $80,000. Like these SUVs, fully loaded, are $80,000, $100,000, $120,000, or it's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
How and then having a mortgage on top of that, like how
And
the
it's
hell?
not just a mortgage, guys. Now you have homeowners insurance. You have to have, like, you've got to actually take care of the house.
And then auto insurance too.
Auto insurance, yeah.
On those SUVs or sports cars, it's outrageous. Insurance went up like 20%.
Health insurance, life insurance, all of those.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Let's move on.
Well, I didn't answer.
Well, I figured you answered with me, but that's okay.
What does inflation actually feel like in everyday life?
Hell.
I'll tell you honestly, it's disheartening. It's a feeling that is out of my control, out of Don's control, out of all of our control. It depends on how our country is run, how the world is run. It depends on other people doing the right things for the best intentions of everyone. And I just feel our president here, again, Donald J. Trump, does things in ways that's best for him. And, we need all of our global leaders, including ours here, Donald Trump, or any future president. We need our presidents to run the country in ways that's best for everyone, not just our own citizens, but the entire world. And that's just not happening right now. And I really hope, I pray to God that during the next administration, I really hope whoever's the president,
whomever it is.
I hope it's Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, but whomever it is.
I think they're gonna, do things for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Better for the best overall aspect of everyone. But yeah, inflation is not a great feeling, especially when you've worked hard and you've budgeted your money. And
you just don't see your money going as far
as
it
going
did
as far
before. Yeah.
And then you have some unexpected or some bills that were expected, but like for example, Dawn, we'll get into in a second, but Dawn and I, Dawn had some major work done on her teeth and she has a little bit more to get done. And, we have Care Credit, and Care Credit allows you to, finance things a year, same as cash. If you pay it off within a year, you pay no interest. But if you don't pay it off, you can accrue thousands of dollars in interest.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll share more about that in a little bit. I've had to work some freelancing opportunities to make some more money, and it's been pretty lucrative. So it's all panned out. But I've had to put in some work and extra time above my, regular income sources. But we'll get more into that in just a little bit. Let's go to question number 2. So, babe, Dawn, why are people working more but still feeling financially stuck?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of employers they don't have as much money to pay employees more. And so the employees are bare minimum, maybe minimum wage, which there is nothing wrong with minimum wage. That you're working, you're making money.
Right.
But if you're just barely doing that and you have a family that you have to take care of, that's almost nearly impossible out here in this area. And so you have to get something else. You have to figure out whether you have another spouse with income or you have to go out and do something else yourself, but you have to make the adjustments in your life. And I'll go back always to this. Communication goes a long way, especially when it comes to money in a relationship.
Okay. I get where you're coming from. I'm going to say that regardless of what people make, whether it's minimum wage, whether it's above minimum wage, whether they're making $500,000 or $1 million a year, people are going to live their lifestyle according to their means, according to their income, right? And that's fine. Like if you make more money, you want to buy a decent house, a decent car, take a vacation or two each year. That's the American dream. That's the dream of anyone in any country that's working. They want to be able to do those things and have a reasonable life. So people, regardless of what they make, are living a lifestyle according to their income. Now, there are some people that live above that, and then they charge credit cards and get into trouble. That's not a good thing. Now, some people, like you and I, we're not poor, but we're not rich. Sometimes we need to charge something that needs to get done, like a health thing, like teeth and stuff like that. And we'll do that to buy us some more time, especially with these credit card plans like Care Credit, where you have, a year, interest free. So if you, let's say, have a $6,000 or $8,000, dental bill, and you put it on there, you have a year to pay it off. But if you don't pay it off by the end of the promotion date, you're going to have over $2,000 in interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the position Don and I were in. And we would have paid it off sooner. Now, we still have time to pay it off. We would have paid it off sooner, but the cost of everything over the last 3 to 6 months forced us to spend more money on things that we just needed to survive. That were
food,
costing.
gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, just basic living needs.
So what I decided to do is do some freelancing opportunities, and we'll get more into those in a little bit. There are many things that people can do for extra money. And even freelancing work. I mean, there's gig work. I used to do that many years ago. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm doing some more freelancing stuff, and you can find freelancing opportunities in your area by doing a Google search or using ChatGPT. And there are job boards, and there's LinkedIn, and there's a lot of people think, it's just about the gig apps, DoorDash and Uber and all that. And those are great to have. I used to use those. Okay. Those are great to have, and those can help, but there are even other freelancing opportunities. I'm not going to get specifically into them or share the ones that I do, because there are people on YouTube and the internet that get jealous when you start doing well with those apps, to the point of where they will call and make up stuff about you that you're doing wrong to try to get you to lose that opportunity. Or if it's a part of the gig apps, I've seen other gig app creators get deactivated from DoorDash and Uber Eats and other platforms like Spark, which is Walmart Spark. I've seen them get deactivated because people are jealous, and these people are out there just trying to share their experiences of how these opportunities have been lucrative to them to help them provide for their family. Nothing wrong with that, but other people that are jealous of their success are, trying to get them fired, and in many cases they do. So I'm not going to get into exact detail of what I've done, but I've done a bunch of different freelancing opportunities to the point of where I was able to make the money. I mean, we owed like $1,500 and something, and it's due next week. And we made the money. I made the money, and now we paid off the card, and now we're not going to get $2,200 of interest tacked on that was accrued. You got to be very careful when you use those cards. Like Best Buy has them. Many retailers and many companies that sell things have those promotional financing opportunities. You've got to pay them off before the expiration date, because if not, it's gonna really put you in a worse position than you're in.
And then you're paying more for the stuff
Mhm.
than necessary.
Right.
You know?
A lot of these cards have like a 36% annual percentage rate.
My God. This is why I don't have credit cards.
But, they allow you to defer interest throughout the promotional period, which is attractive. And it's a good thing as long as you pay it off by the promotional due date. And if you're close to that due date, okay, you want to pay it off at least 2, 3, 4 days in advance. And then you want to call the company and make sure it gets applied and credited properly. Because, sometimes on those promotional cards, people have multiple transactions that happen at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make sure that all the money that you pay that card goes to pay the promotional opportunity that's going to expire
The one transaction,
first.
yeah.
The one that's going to expire first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've seen that happen. It happened to us, when we made a payment last week. They credited part of it to a different transaction that wasn't expiring until later on this year.
Yeah.
And so we called them and said, no. You need to credit this to that because we want to pay this off to avoid paying $2,200 in interest.
Yeah.
And deferred interest. So, and again, to do that, I had to get out there and, look for some other opportunities to make some extra money. You got to do what you got to do. You may have a day job, Monday through Friday. You may need to get on some of these gig apps or freelancing opportunities and work 3-4 more hours in the evening or work on the weekends. You got to do what you got to do to make ends meet during a time like this. There are no excuses.
Yeah.
You cannot be lazy.
No.
And that's what we did. Anyway, anything else you
I
want
was
to add
just going to say, I don't want anybody to think of using this all the time. But let's say you're in that situation and you don't make that payment you need. Another option is to have another one of your cards to do a balance transfer. You do that balance transfer at 0 interest for 6 months. And then the other one gets paid off and you don't have interest. So if push comes to shove, make sure you pay off the bigger one with the interest and just transfer that over and pay on that as you go.
Yeah.
Only push come to shove.
Yeah. No, I've done that once in the past. And it did help out, I had, when I bought this laptop, it was $3,500 and, I had, I think it was 1 year promotion through
Best Buy.
No, it
No?
was through Dell. I got this through Dell directly. Oh no, when I get my laptops, I order them directly through Dell. And so, I ended up paying off about half of it. And then I had another card that had 18 months, 0% balance transfer, no fees. And so I stretched it out. I think I paid it off like in less than a year after that, but I had up to 18 months. That can be an option and that can work. But if you're going to do that, you need to look at the terms because some companies have a balance transfer fee, some don't. You got to look at the terms, 0% APR, no balance transfer fees, interest will accrue. I believe it's daily. And if you don't pay it off by the expiration date of the promo, then all that interest accrued gets tacked on.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can do a balance transfer from one promotion to another. Best thing is try to pay it off without having to do a balance transfer from one promotion to another, because if you have to go that far, then it's saying that, hey, you're struggling a bit. And, I did it because I have investments, and if I can stretch my money out and pay less and have the investments make more and stretch out 0%, for more than a year, that's fine. It made sense for me. For most people, it might not make sense. Be careful.
Be careful. Read fine print, but know that is an option if you feel like, oh crap, I'm a grand short of this. Transfer that grand over to another card. Save yourself $2 or $3 grand, and then just pay that off in the next 6 to 12 months, whatever the term is.
And, Dawn, I think you've talked about this before, is that when you and I got together, we worked together, we ended up paying off all of your bills and stuff, and your credit is now fantastic. You've got perfect credit. I've got perfect credit. That's one thing. That this is the most important thing, is you've got to take care of your credit. I did have to file for bankruptcy one time in my life. I made some mistakes with a woman in the past, and I was just spending a lot of money above and beyond my means. This was back in my early to mid 30s, and I ended up, filing bankruptcy, and I ended up rebuilding my credit, and it's perfect again, and I never want to ruin it again. Your credit is everything.
Oh, yeah.
And also, when you're trying to get jobs nowadays, even freelancing jobs, if you're trying to get on the gig apps or freelancing jobs, a lot of them will run a background check. And a background check is just not criminal. It also, if you're doing any job that requires you to drive, like gig apps, they're going to run your motor vehicle report. You need to have a clean driving record. You need to have a clean criminal
record.
Also, they run what's called a consumer authorization report, which is your credit worthiness. Because having good credit, okay, it shows responsibility. And these companies, for freelance work or gig work or anything, they're looking to see, how responsible are you?
Yeah.
Right? If you're responsible with your credit, if you're responsible, with driving, if you have a clean driving record, and if you're a law-abiding citizen, you could pretty much get any opportunity you want. But if you have a blemish on one of them, it's a
little harder.
You might be able to have a few mistakes on there and still get a job. But, and this goes for if you want to get a job in the real world too. Like they say these freelancing and gig work is not real work. It's real work. It's independent contract work, and that's where it's all going today. We'll get more into that in a bit. But basically, if you have a clean record on everything, it's going to be much easier for you to get the work you need, especially during a time like this. If you need some extra money, it's gonna make things a lot easier for you. Anything else you want to add to this, babe?
No, let's move on.
All right, we are at 38 minutes now. Okay, question number 3, my love. How has inflation changed grocery shopping? Oh my God!
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God! It's like we used to go and spend $200 at the grocery store for a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
And we've had to scale back a bit.
Now every trip is at least $60, and that's for the bare minimums.
Right.
That's for milk, eggs, bread, cheese.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're going to be getting any kind of specialty thing, you're going to be paying higher prices. So you have to account for that. And that means sometimes you have to, go without something, that's not necessary in order to fit in the necessary stuff. You got to get the essentials. Yeah. Yeah. You look at what are you doing outside of your bills? Where is your money going outside? So you know where you can cut back. And I know on my bank, at the end of the month when they do the statement, they have a little pie chart that shows so much went to bills, so much went to food, so much went to entertainment. So, that way you go back and look, okay, well, I brought this much in this month and probably the same next month. So let's just adjust this wheel a little bit. Let's spend less here, more there, and just make it a little bit more of an even scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Buster, you're so hot. He's warm on my lap,
Yeah. Yeah, inflation has tremendously changed grocery shopping. The cost of everything is up. Um, you got to focus on your essentials. Milk, bread, um,
Eggs,
eggs,
protein, vegetables.
yeah, vegetable stuff like that. Um, cut out, all the chips, all the, sodas, all the, um, you know, uh, sweets and stuff like that. I mean, here's the thing. Like for me, my body's caffeine dependent. I know that's not good. So I need to have my energy drinks. So does Don, and like our Diet Coke and stuff like that. Um, I mean, those are right there. Those are essential for us just to be able for me to go, and have the energy to work and do what I need to do to bring in the money.
But we
but,
also drink water in between to flush the system.
Correct. But I'm just saying, if you can go without those, which a lot of people nowadays are caffeine dependent. If you can go without those, if you have to cut something out, those are the things you may want to cut out. Or
instead of having 3 Red Bulls a day, cut it down to 1.
Right.
That way you're not depriving yourself of that guilty pleasure, but you're just not doing it as much.
Have you noticed? I used to get us a couple cases of Red Bulls. Now I'm buying them sparingly when I find sales at the store every now and then, a couple here, a couple there. I mean, it is what it is. It's
$60 a case of Red Bull. That's not, just nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's about $2 a piece.
And which, if you think about it, it's actually cheaper than in the store. But how convenient is it just to run in and get one at a time?
When you find them on sale and, when money permits, right. But yeah, inflation has definitely changed our grocery shopping routine. And we were just hoping, as the economy starts to bounce back, we're hoping it's going to bounce back. It seems to be starting to come back right now. It's going to take some time, though. It's probably going to take till the end of the year, maybe the beginning of next year. We need to see how the midterms are going to, affect things coming up later in November. I have a feeling, Don and I are slight left liberals. We're more down the middle, and we love everyone, whether you're on the left or the right or down the middle. But we just feel that if we start to shift things back into more of a democratic run government, it's going to set things back in the right direction. And so, we'll see what happens. And, when the change finally does happen, then, that'll be great. We'll be able to get all the groceries and essentials that we need at a cheaper price and not have to worry, about cutting things out. But anyway.
I just want somebody that's going to come in and look at the homeless population, look at the kids that are starving, the people without insurance. And I want us to be able to find funding to help these people. That's
right.
That would be the perfect world for me, is just to be able to help those who don't have.
The less than fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some streams on YouTube outside of the podcast regarding that because, I'll just say in general, there are a lot of entitled people on YouTube and in this world that don't realize, maybe they do realize there's a big homeless population. There are a lot of people that are struggling. And, think about the song Another Day in Paradise by Phil Collins from back in I think it was in the early 90s when that came out. Let me just see real quick.
I think it was late 80s, but.
Another Day in Paradise. Release date was October 23rd, 1989. I had just started working at the Hillsdale Cinema in San Mateo, California.
I told you it was late 80s.
What's that?
I told you it was late 80s.
Yeah, it was. It's a very emotionally touching song.
I'm not a huge fan of Phil Collins,
No.
but I will say his songs have meaning. He has a lot of good songs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the lyrics, I'm not even going to say them here. People, if you don't know that song, go look up Another Day in Paradise by Phil Collins, especially if you're a person that feels entitled and you're privileged to things that the less than fortunate aren't. You need to humble yourself and listen to that song over and over again. Go to Google and look at the lyrics. It'll probably make you cry. I heard that song earlier today while I was out and about. I wasn't with Don. I was running some errands, and I heard that song come up, and it literally put me in tears. And I'm a strong man. It put me in tears because I care about everyone, including the less than fortunate. And when I see people act so entitled on the internet, and they're taken care of, it really pisses me off that they don't take the less than fortunate into consideration. They say they take the less than fortunate into consideration, but their actions show otherwise anyway, or their words show otherwise. Anyway, question number 4, babe.
Mhm.
Why does inflation create so much stress and anxiety?
Well,
And it has caused us both a lot of stress and anxiety, hasn't it?
absolutely. But I mean, it's money. Money is
Money
in
makes
control.
the world go around.
Yeah, it makes the world go round. It's in control of everything. Prices go up. You're not making, if prices go up and the wages don't go up, then there's something wrong with that, because that's where the stress and anxiety comes from. You never know if, okay, I've got it budgeted for 2 weeks that I'm going to spend $100 on gas. Well, and then the next day you wake up and it goes up like $1. Like, you didn't anticipate that, but you have to. You have to look at what could happen. You have to be prepared for that mentally. And that's something I think if you can do that, then it'll be a lot easier and less stressful. But obviously, anytime prices go up, it's going to be stressful for anybody. I mean, maybe not the privileged, but most middle class people in America, hardworking Americans, blue collar, they deserve more than what they get, and that's unfortunate,
Yeah.
Those are the people out there, they're building the roads, they're building the buildings, they're out there working their butts off so you can have your luxuries.
Right.
I think I'd pay that person a little bit more.
Yep. I hear you. That's not the way it goes. I mean, they're getting paid a decent wage. But again, like I was saying, Dave, it doesn't matter how much money you're making nowadays, because the people that typically make more money are buying more expensive homes and cars, and they've got all of these payments that are due every month based on their income.
Mm-hmm.
And when the prices go up, their money doesn't go as far, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, in my opinion, I don't, unless you're a multi-millionaire or a billionaire. I mean, I think even somebody making $500,000 a year or $1 million a year, if they don't manage their money properly, or if they've tied up their money in something like, a multi-million-dollar home for 30 years, where you're looking at what's a payment going to be on that? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,000 a month. Plus, for a high value home like that, insurance is going to be $3 to $5 grand a year.
Property
taxes on top of that, maintenance and repair. Like, a lot of people think, especially if you're living out here in the Bay Area, a lot of people think, yeah, this guy makes $1 million a year, he's flush. Well, maybe before inflation. Yeah. No.
And how many people were flush in 2007? And then they woke up not flush. They were flushed down the toilet is what they were.
Yeah, we don't want to go back to that era. That was not a good
No,
time.
it wasn't. But a lot of people are walking around and they're like, I'm a millionaire. On paper, you are, because you have investments and all this other stuff. Until you put that shit in your bank, it ain't your money, because it can come and go daily,
Well, all those Ponzi schemes back in those days, the Ponzi schemes really screwed some people.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I mean, anyway.
It's a bad time in 2007 and 8.
Yeah, we can talk about that another time, but those Ponzi schemes, wow, man. Whew, Jesus. Why does inflation create so much stress and anxiety for me? Because I've always been a very responsible person. Yes, I did have to file bankruptcy one time, and that was my fault. When you're younger, sometimes you feel you found the right one. Everyone else is telling you that you're not with the right woman. She's taking advantage of you, and you fight them, and then you realize that your friends and family were right. And next thing you know, you're in massive credit card debt and all that. And then the only way out is bankruptcy.
Yeah, well, your friends and family are seeing it without the rose-colored glasses of love that you have. That's the thing. They can be on the outside looking in and being like, oh, yeah, I don't like how this is going. But you're blinded by love and all that at first. You don't see it. I actually just watched a documentary, and it was, Should I Marry a Murderer? And she met this guy online. Great guy, exactly what she's looking for. And then she finds out that him and his brother hit somebody on the road and then took him and buried him. Didn't call the authorities, didn't do anything, but just took him and buried him. And she struggled because she's like, it was a mistake. He's not a murderer, like a malice criminal murderer. It was an accident, and he made a poor choice. So she was really stuck. She was like, I love him and I care for him. But, and even when he found out that she ratted him, he still went back lovingly. And I understand what you had to do.
Got to do what you got to do.
And so she really struggled if she should marry him or not, because they were engaged. And listening to all of her families and friends, and then put her in danger, her life in danger. She was doing bad shit. She just needed to walk away.
Right.
And she needed to take those glasses off to see it.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. Ready for number 5?
Yes, I am.
What I'm thinking is, because we're almost at an hour, we're going to have you take the break after number 5 and then do the next 5 questions. And next week we can do part 2 and have 3 or 4 Reddit postings. I have a couple of great ones and some other ones that I wasn't going to share today, but we can do a part 2 on this next week, because in the meantime, if people have any questions, they can email us at eliasmellis@genuinenetworkingassociation.org. Our email's in the description section of the YouTube video and wherever you're listening to us, audio only as well. Or people can comment on the YouTube video and ask us questions we can address on next week's podcast, which we'll do a part 2 of this.
Yeah, and maybe if anybody wants to reach out, if anybody wants to do a podcast in the future, or if they have information on their own life stories
that
about
share.
About this that they want to share, please contact us. We're happy to have you on the show.
Right. So question number 5, babe. So Dawn, how does the high cost of living affect relationships?
Well, you and I have talked about this
tremendously.
We've talked about it. We've joked about it. I think you mentioned it on a show the other night, how being a single man, you're like, I would be a rich man right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
But when,
I'd be miserable and lonely, though.
Yes. But then when you bring a partner into your life, and you essentially are taking on some of their cost of living, you can see the difference. And especially a man has very, I would say, basic needs compared to a woman.
Oh, absolutely.
There are a lot more things that women need in life.
We
and
don't
I'm
need to
not
get
even
our nails done,
I'm not even
manicured,
just talking about that
get our
stuff.
hair done.
I'm not even just talking about that stuff.
Oh.
It's like the daily, the cleansers, the shampoos, like that kind of stuff that you use that's necessary. Mm-hmm. Those could be very expensive.
Yeah.
Going out to eat, when you're single, you just drive through the drive-through and pick up whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Now you've got to consult with somebody, and they may not want drive-through. They may want to go sit down at a restaurant and spend $100,
Yep.
That causes stress.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in a brand new relationship. Oh my God, where you're not sharing your finances yet. Mm-hmm. Then you really that's stressful.
Oh, yeah.
That's something I'm so happy about with Eli and I. We have open communication. I know everything about our money situation. I know everything about our bills. So you know what? I'm going to get communication tattooed on my body somewhere because I'm all about communication.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm like, I couldn't have said it any better myself. The high cost of living tremendously affects relationships. Because look, Don and I love each other. Most couples truly love each other. Some couples, are together for the wrong reasons. That people do that. They shouldn't, but they do, right? Some people stay together because they can't afford to be, single. That's not a good reason to stay in a relationship and be miserable. But for couples that truly love each other, the high cost of living can still and does affect the relationship. It puts a lot of stress and anxiety. Sometimes depression kicks in. Because, like Don said, men typically are a lot simpler than women. Let's just be real about it. I'm not trying to sugarcoat. You said it yourself.
Well, yeah, just on the daily, their daily needs.
Emotionally too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But guys do have big midlife crisis price tags.
Oh, I've
cars, boats,
but
women,
I haven't done that.
Other women.
I could have probably done all that if I wasn't with you, but I'm happier being with you because, look, if I didn't have you and I was single, I would have all that, but I'd be alone and miserable, and I would be using those items to fulfill a void, which would give me a false sense of happiness. There's nothing better in life than having someone to share it with.
Mm-hmm. Better, it's so much better when you're in a crappy mood coming home and you walk in the door and you're welcomed by open arms and smiling kids and happy dogs, or cats.
Dawn is like my Ferrari or Lamborghini. She's my Ferrari.
Yay, Ferrari.
Listen, first of all, I would probably never buy a Ferrari.
No.
They're way too expensive. And quite frankly, I would never drive fast enough
He's
for
a
me
grandpa
to
when he drives.
Driving a car like that.
Yeah, I mean,
a car like that.
He doesn't drive under the speed limit, but I'm like, he is on right at the speed limit. He won't go above it. And it's just like, okay, you're driving
5-10 miles here and there.
On the freeway.
15, freeway. But
never on roads.
In the city, typically not. In the city, I typically follow the speed limit, maybe 5 to 10 miles over at times. But, I'm pretty, I want to keep my driving record clean.
Oh, well, yeah, everybody does.
Absolutely. The high cost of living, it's going to affect anyone in a relationship. It's going to affect anyone regardless, but it'll more so affect you if you're in a relationship because, at that point, you both have to budget a combined income. In some cases, one side may be providing, the entire relationship. And so you got to do the best you can with what you've got. And, if it's not enough, there are opportunities which we'll get more into during the second half of the show. But for right now, Dawn is going to step away and take her break. Let me turn off the camera. We are at 59 minutes, just turned an hour. Okay. So while Dawn steps away for her break, let me remind each and every one of you, if you are listening to us on the audio-only podcast network, such as Apple, Spotify. Excuse me. I put my foot down. The little dog just walked under the table. We have our little dog and our big dog. And I put my foot and I tapped him and he went woof. Sorry, Buster. We're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon's Music. We're also on my lady's favorite and one of my favorites, iHeartRadio. We're also on Amazon's Audible. Amazon has podcasts on music and Audible. We're also on YouTube's Music, audio and video, because YouTube's Music is owned by YouTube/Google. And we're also on many of the other not as popular or not as well-known audio-only podcast networks. Basically, if you're listening to us on the audio-only podcast network and you would like to view the video version of our podcast, you can go to the description section of wherever you're listening to this audio-only. About halfway down, you'll see the link that'll redirect you back to our main channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. It'll start playing the video, but you'll see our channel within the video description section, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. While you're there, make sure you subscribe, bang the bell, and select the notifications so you don't miss anything. Then go below that description section about a couple lines down. You will also see the link to our secondary live streaming channel, GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development, where we go live regularly. Over the last several weeks, we've only done 1 to 2 live streams per week. And I think it's been about a week since we've done the last one, but probably going to do one later today as of the day of the recording. But that's our live streaming channel where we go live regularly. We're going to be going live more often in the near future again, so you're going to want to connect with us there, subscribe, bang the bell, and select the notifications. I do Walking with Purpose streams from the park, from the trail, from other locations around where I live. Sometimes Dawn joins me. Usually it's just by myself. Sometimes Dawn and I do On the Couch with Dawn and Eli, a more personalized, intimate show, to answer your questions. Sometimes we do Driving with Purpose while we're on the road. We've got the portable road unit in the car. We've got special microphones for that, for good sound and all that. We do a lot of live streams on that channel, sometimes from the studio. So make sure you subscribe over there. You bang the bell. You select the notifications so you don't miss anything. YouTube is where we spend most of our time at. Anyway, Dawn just stepped back into the studio, the podcast studio, which also
yes, sir, I am.
As my office. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
Should we turn the camera back on?
Well, that would be silly not to.
Okay. And we're in sync. Yep.
Got it?
Yeah.
All
right. Let's continue. Let's go to question number 6. We're going to more so blitz through these. We've got about another 37 minutes or so. My lovely lady Dawn, question number 6. Are people becoming too dependent on credit just to survive?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's been going on a long, long time. I do think that people have become more careful when, I was getting married in that time. I was too young to have a credit card myself when I met my ex-husband, but he was old enough and he had about $20,000 in credit card debt. Because, he was making like minimum wage, doing his security job, and he was trying to be, he's in his 20s. He's trying to impress the ladies, trying to impress his friends. And basically that $20,000, he basically pissed out.
Wow.
So we started our life behind the 8 ball. We had to catch up before we even were really getting started. So yeah, that was a lot of credit card debt that we had to catch up. And it took us a while. It took us going through some credit counseling and getting it all down,
Situated.
all situated. And
Yeah.
because when you go through like a Care Credit Company, they work with the places that your credit card places. They arrange special interest rates, certain minimum payments that they'll all incorporate into one payment that you make to Care Credit, or not Care Credit, whatever it's called. And then they distribute your bills out so you know they all get paid. So it was credit care counseling is what it is. And so that was helpful. But yes, people are going to be surviving off of their credit cards right now, especially the gas. I think a lot of people are putting their gas on credit cards and their groceries. And that's something that can be very, very dangerous to,
It can.
I mean, credit cards should be used for like a big purchase. Like if you want to buy a laptop, you want to buy furniture for your house, stuff like that. Shouldn't be for just fun, and used just casually like that. Because if I'm going to pay money, I want to have something to show for it. And if I just use that all on dinners, what do I have to show?
Right. Are people becoming too dependent on credit just to survive? Yes. I'll share with myself. I was working I've been working since I've been 15 and a half. By the time I was 18, I started getting credit. I had very good credit. I would always pay my cards off at the end of the month. By the time I was like in my early 20s, I literally had like 150,000 or almost maybe 200,000 in credit cards. It would give me high limits because I was very responsible. And, up until my early 30s, for 12 years, it was all perfect. And then that one relationship that was my fault, I just started charging beyond my means. And you can't let that happen to you. I learned my lesson from that. I had to file bankruptcy, like I mentioned earlier, and a lot of people know this story on YouTube, and I'm not ashamed of it. It happens. I messed up. And that was in my early 30s, and, bankruptcy now stays on your record. It was 7 years initially, but now I believe it's 10 years. So, I've had perfect credit for many, many years since that happened, and I rebuilt it. Now, what I use credit for is I either use credit and I pay it off at the end of the month. That way you get certain points, reward points from your credit cards. As long as you pay off your balance by the end of the month, you pay no interest, and you earn whatever the perks that credit card has. Another thing is like, if you're going to do like a major dental work and stuff, credit cards like Care Credit offer promotional financing, like we mentioned earlier. So if you got $6,000 or $8,000, in work that needs to be done, you can put it on that card and get 1 year, interest free, and spread the payments out over a year. And that's what Donna and I did recently when she got some major dental work done. But it got to the point of where, we were about $1,500 short going into the last month. And instead of pulling that money from elsewhere, like investments and stuff that makes money, I ended up deciding to do some freelancing work. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an independent contractor with many companies over the last 15 years. I used to sell insurance as an independent contractor. There's a lot of independent contract work out there. Freelancing, yes, there are the gig apps like I mentioned. That is independent contract work. That is not technically freelancing. Freelancing are opportunities that are outside of these gig apps like food delivery and ride share, and other stuff like that. But, for me, I knew this was coming, and I planned this out over a year. And, I knew at some point it was gonna be close, and I was gonna have to do something to bring in the extra money, and I did, and we took care of it. If we didn't take care of it, it would have cost us $2,200 in additional interest, and that's a lot of interest to pay.
It
It's
is.
a lot of interest to pay. So use credit properly, but if you become dependent on credit to survive, either you're not making enough money relative to where you live, or you're spending beyond your means. Most of the time, it's people spending beyond their means. That's what got me in trouble in my early 30s with a woman I thought I was going to be with, and I started spending beyond my means.
And that's what happened in my marriage also.
It happened to Dawn as well.
Yeah, actually, when we started making more money,
You spent more money.
when we spent more money and got into more trouble.
Right.
And so that's why I always say money is the root of all evil, because if you have it, it can destroy you, and if you don't have it, it can destroy you.
Right. Amen. Let's get to question number 7 here, my lovely lady Dawn. 1 hour and 11 minutes. What sacrifices are ordinary people making because of inflation, babe?
Unfortunately, they're sacrificing the more important things in life, like health insurance, eating good food. They're having to cut those things out of their lives to adjust for just their house, their roof to be over their head, or for them to have their car not be repoed so they can go to work. It's a vicious freaking cycle of life. It really is. And as we grow up, as children, we had no idea. No idea.
Someone has to teach us responsibility.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But we had no idea how hard it was for our parents to work and bring the money that they did in.
Very true.
True. And it wasn't until we actually got into the workforce. And when we got in, minimum wage was like $4.25.
It just went from $3.35 to $4.25 when I started working at 15 and a half. That was in the summer of 1989.
Yep. And when you're living at home as a teenager, that's great money.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're living on your own and trying to date or, have anything, social life, it's hard.
It is.
It's very, very hard. Great thing about being an entrepreneur and doing freelance is you get to pick your work and you get to set your price. You say, well, if I'm going to be there for this long, this is how much it's going to charge you or cost you. You know what I'm saying? And you can't get that in the gig world.
A lot of times you're able to, Don is right. Another thing I forgot to mention, you can negotiate your fee. Some cases the fees is non-negotiable. In many cases it is. So never sell yourself short. Don't be afraid if you're freelancing to ask for a little more money if you feel that whatever job you're doing is going to take more time. Because here's the thing, time is money. Time is money, right? And let's just face it, it's not about being lazy, it's about being smart. The more money you can make per hour, the better, right? Now, if you've got a job that's going to offer you, $100 or $200 for 3 hours of work, that is much better than the same amount of money over 8 hours of work.
Right.
Right. So you want to look at those opportunities and manage your time and don't sell yourself short. But there are opportunities out there. You have to go out there and find them with the internet, with Google, with ChatGPT, AI, everything like LinkedIn. Listen, there are no excuses. Yes, times are tough. Inflation is up. You may have to work more hours than your standard 40-hour-a-week job, but you can make it. You just have to go out there and grind it out. There are times where you got to do what you got to do. My father, to build what my family now has and what I'm able to invest into, the properties my father and my mother purchased, you know, 40, 50 years ago. Okay.
Before you were even born.
Yes, that too. Okay. And I'm 52. My dad was working usually 7 days a week, 14 to 16 hours a day. And this was, he was doing this, 30, 40 years ago when things were much cheaper. But even though things were much cheaper back then, it still cost money to raise a family. He wanted to put my brother and I through private school, and he did. So there was mortgage, there was private school, there were clothes, food, insurance, and just a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But he was working 14 hours a day, sometimes 16, 7 days a week. He would take some holidays off. He would take off maybe 4 or 5 days a year. And this was back then. And nowadays, people don't even want to work 40 hours. And if they're working 40 hours and it's not enough, they don't want to work another 20 hours that week to bring in some extra money. So that way they can, overcome this inflation that we're dealing with right now that hopefully will eventually be fixed.
Or it gives you back that money that you would have had to budget to take some entertainment out of your month, So now you make an extra $200. Well, there you go.
That's your play money.
Right.
And right now you may not have your play money because of inflation if you're just working your regular job. But you can work 5, 10, 15, 20 extra hours a week doing freelance work. If you want to do the gig apps, that's on you. That's going to put some wear and tear on your car. And I remember doing it 3.5 years ago. I mean, I'll tell you, it served its purpose. I made decent money doing that. There's better money in freelance work, but the gig apps are a way to make some quick money. What I'm trying to say is this, is that there are opportunities out there if you're willing to work a bit more than just your standard job. Don't be lazy. Don't sit there and cry and be lazy and have things be so tight because your primary 40-hour-a-week job is barely paying you enough, right? There are other opportunities. You got to grind it out. You got to do what you got to do. That time is now, and you got to do it. Go ahead.
No, I completely agree with you. I had really nothing more to say about that.
Should we go to question 8?
Yeah.
Question number 8, babe. Is gig work helping people survive inflation?
I do think that as long as people in the gig world know what they're doing, it absolutely is going to help with the inflation going on in the world. You've got to know, you need to know the areas that are hot. You need to know the apps that are in your area that are available. There's so much out there, but I do want to say it's not the most reliable work. Some days can be good. Some days could be bad. But there are a lot of opportunities for people throughout the country. I've just been just randomly watching things on YouTube and stuff. And there's things I've never heard of, people talk about in other states that there's 2 people we listen to, and it's they'll say something and we're like, I've never heard of that, but it's not available on the West Coast. So, there's what I'm trying to say across the whole United States, so many opportunities in that gig life.
Yeah.
You just have to be patient enough to look into it, get signed up. Sometimes you'll be on a waiting list, wait it out, buy their bags, buy their merch that, they want you to use. You could make decent money, but just no.
And that was a thing, 3.5 years ago or so when I was doing the gig work, there there were waiting lists. I'm sure there are still waiting lists today. Get yourself on those waiting lists because you never know, right? Sign up for, as many opportunities as you can. Do you mind if I respond, babe?
No, go right ahead.
I took some notes here. For many people, gig work has become an important financial lifeline. Delivery apps, rideshare, shopping apps, catering delivery, freelance work, and temporary jobs allow people to earn money when they need it. Now, some people may need an extra $50 for groceries, an extra $100 for utility bill, or several $100s to pay down debt, and gig work can sometimes provide that opportunity. But the thing, like we've been talking about, this is why, I've gone more the freelancing route. I'm not knocking the gig work. I'm just letting you folks know it has its challenges. Gas is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Vehicle maintenance is expensive. You're going to really, your car is going to take a hit. If you're going to do, gig work, food delivery, rideshare, grocery delivery, whatever, right? You've got to be very smart with the orders that you take and try to keep minimal miles on your car.
Minimal stopping and turning off and turning on the car.
Yeah.
That's wear and tear. I just know from forever ago.
Vehicle maintenance is expensive. Insurance is expensive. Make sure you have the right insurance. Drivers have to consider mileage, time, traffic, wear and tear, parking, and the possibility of receiving little or no tip. I remember back 3.5 years ago, we were talking about no tip, no trip.
Yep.
And, I would probably still recommend that for you folks nowadays. People may see a driver make $20 on an order, but they do not always see the gas, the return trip, the taxes, and costs of maintaining the vehicle. So gig work can help, but workers need to be strategic. So, yeah, if you're going to do the gig apps, you've got to be strategic. You've got to take profitable orders. I used to say 3 years ago, minimum $3 a mile. I mean, if it's an order in an area that you're heading there, to go home or something, you may take a 3 or 4 mile order if it's, 12, 15, $20. But you got to make choices that make sense and that, keep you profitable.
Yeah, we still joke about that sometimes. Like you'll be ordering our food on the DoorDash and I'll be like, no tip, no trip, like just to joke, even though we're going to pick it up. But it's just like when DoorDash comes up for some reason, that always rings in my brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you teased about it 3 years ago. Yeah.
You can order pickup through DoorDash. There are certain places that do not have their own app, but they use DoorDash for pickup. And the thing is, when you use the DoorDash app for pickup orders, or even the Uber Eats app for pickup orders, you're paying pretty much the same price as if you were to go there. It's just, they can have the food ready by the time you get there, and then it's all paid for. And that right there, I believe, doesn't cost the merchant much money. That's pretty much included. The way that DoorDash makes money is off of the deliveries. And then merchants typically will increase their prices on delivery because DoorDash will charge 15 to 30% of the transaction. So that's why you're going to see higher prices for delivery. Anyway, should we get to number 9?
Yeah.
Okay, question number 9, my love. What practical steps can people take to survive the high cost of living?
The one thing, see, this is hard for me because I didn't do it, but I can sit here and reflect back and just say, really, you just got to be very smart with your money. You have to know what you're signing up for. You have to read the fine lines, check out, the interest rates, how that they will increase or whatever. You just got to be very knowledgeable about what you're investing your money in.
Read the fine print.
Read the fine print.
Read the fine print.
Because, that's where they're going to get you in that fine print, So you, just be as careful with your money as you would be with your kids. You got to protect it from whatever else is out there, you know? So, yeah, make proper investments, read fine lines, and write out your budget, write out your expenses per month, write out your intake of money, and make sure everything is scheduled to be paid on time. And then you have a little money at the end. If you could budget that in, it's going to make your life a lot less stressful.
I think what you're saying, in other words, babe, is use common sense.
Yeah, budget your money.
We say use common sense, but common sense
we have to explain it
not,
sometimes.
What's that?
We have to explain that sometimes.
Correct. I was going to say when I used to sell insurance, I used to network with this guy who was a little bit older than me, and he was a realtor, very very nice guy named Len. And Len used to say, when I would say it's common sense, Len, right? He goes, well, common sense isn't that common anymore. And he's right. He was right.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You know, you try to tell people nowadays, use common sense. And
you know what they say back to you? Well, what is common sense?
What is common sense, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's a big problem. Two of the most important things to me, common sense and common decency. And both of them really struggle to exist nowadays. But at least people like Dawn and I are out here on the internet, and we're trying to promote that. That's absolutely critical. We need to promote more common sense and more common decency. Go ahead.
Yeah. And you know, when we're out and about, we try to put off as much positive energy. And you know what? We've noticed how you were even just saying, I've noticed a lot of really nice people like lately. They've been very polite and nice. And I was like, well, what you put out, you get back. So keep on smiling, and you're going to make somebody's day.
Yeah. And I said, you know what, babe, when I was talking to you earlier about this, I said, all that starts within you. It starts within me. It starts within each individual person. Because like right now, you know, that I started doing more freelance work. I was doing some freelance work even before this, but I'm doing more now because, you know, I want to get these bills paid and get us ahead throughout this rough time of inflation. But I was saying that my attitude has gotten better because I'm now, you know, doing things that are bringing in more money than we had, and it's reducing the stress load. When you reduce the stress load, it reduces anxiety, it reduces depression. It just makes things a lot smoother and better, and it comes off in your attitude. And when you are feeling good about, you know, your finances, your life, everything going on, you know, that's going to radiate to other people, and you're gonna be able to see other people being good to you much more clearly when you're in a clear state.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, you know, over these years, we've been nice to so many people and they haven't been nice back to us. It's not because they don't want to be nice. They're not capable of being nice right now because they're not in a good enough place within themselves, whether it be financial, whether it be mental, emotional, whether they're lonely and single or whatever, or in an unhappy relationship or marriage. That's what's affecting them. You got to get to a good place yourself. You got to get to a good place yourself so you can realize when others are being good to you. Go ahead.
That was one of the things the lady in that documentary said at the end, is that once you truly love and trust yourself and your own judgments is when you truly can find somebody else that is compatible with you and know that they're not some psychopath that ran a man off the road. You know, like she's like, when you can learn to love yourself, then you're basically not thirsty for the attention. You can make better choices.
Yeah, I think we just went over question number 9. What practical steps can people take to survive the high cost of living, right?
Yeah, that's when I talked about budgeting, fine lines, all that.
Okay. Let's go to the final question here. I hope I didn't skip 9. I don't think I did. Anyway,
No,
it is what it is. Final question here, my love. Question number 10. How do you remain hopeful when everything feels unaffordable? And we have both felt that way.
absolutely. And the only thing I can hold on to after 50 years of living through life and finances being up and down is that there is a chance for change. There's always an opportunity for change in the future. I know we're not locked down into these prices. I know, we see things go back and forth all the time with the prices. Before it was only like 10 cents. You notice a difference. Now it's $4, you know? And basically, I just think that people they really need to be conscious of what they need in their life and what they're earning and how their earnings can, help them get what they want in life. And if you don't have a grasp of that, then you're going to be behind that 8 ball from the very beginning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Let me get to my response in a second, babe. I will say that our dogs, your dogs, but I've inherited them too.
Shut up. Yeah, our
Bochi's
dogs.
underneath the desk. He's ducking and covering. We had an earthquake up in the North Bay, way up north in Northern California.
I didn't feel
we
a
didn't, we
thing.
didn't feel it here like earlier on in the week. Bochi's like passed out cold underneath the desk, and Buster's passed out cold right on your chair there. And I got that wonderful chair for you to sit there in luxury whenever we do live streams or podcasting in the studio room here. The dogs have been absolutely perfectly quiet. And they were so excited. They get so excited on Sundays when we open the door and they know we're doing the podcast. And we make fun of them. We say, Pitkiss, Pitkiss, Pitkiss.
Oh, but so excited. They jump up. They're smiling. They go to the door. Then they run back and they go to the door.
And they wear themselves out.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. But they're so excited. It's so cute.
1 hour and 32 minutes. My response to how do you remain hopeful when everything feels unaffordable? I've been there. And look, I was there earlier this year. And look, when you're in a relationship and, money is tight, inflation happens and it makes it more tight. At that point, myself as a man, I'm like, I have responsibility. I have my lady to provide for. She's dealing with some medical stuff. And
not so much anymore, guys.
No, but I mean, we're still working through some things. But right now, Don is my responsibility, the dogs, my family. I've got a lot of responsibility, a lot of people that I need and want and love taking care of. So when I take all of that, it motivates me and inspires me to find ways to not just work harder, but work smarter, make smarter decisions, and use my time more wisely. I feel lately I've been more productively using my time. I've been finding a lot of opportunities. Go online and do a Google search and use ChatGPT and ask Google and ChatGPT for freelancing opportunities in your area. Ask them for gig app opportunities in your area. Don't be afraid to do independent contract work. If you have a W-2 job Monday through Friday, whether it's salaried or hourly, right? That's fine. If you need to keep that for now, that's fine. You can actually make full-time money doing freelance work, doing gig work. You're going to have to read up on how to do that. Maybe we can do a show on that down the road. I have not done it in a while, but I do keep up on YouTube with these creators. And I, if I was going to do gig apps again now, I would have a different strategy, and I can share that strategy down the road. Maybe we can share it next week when we go over those Reddit postings. Same topic next week with part 2, and we're going to go over and read what some people are going through. It's very interesting. But, when you have people in your life that make you happy like Dawn does, and the dogs that are hers and I inherited as well. My mother, my brother, my aunt, my cousin, that's the remaining parts of my family. There's a few family members left in Greece, but, my family is pretty small, and, it's a very intimate group of people. It motivates me to want to take care of my family more so, including Don and his family.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we're not married yet, we will be. And we're eventually going to get there, which that's going to cost money, and we're working towards that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can look at Don, I can look at the dogs, I can look at my family, and it motivates and inspires me to do more and to figure out ways to work through this inflation. Some people may call it a recession. I really don't think we've hit a recession. If we truly hit a recession, things would be worse than they are. Things are bad, but they're not bad to the point of where you can't get out of it. But you've got to be willing to work. You've got to be willing to make sacrifices, and that means more than 40 hours of work a week. When I used to work in the retail world, retail management and stuff, and even as a retail employee, I always worked overtime. When I was an hourly, when I was salary, I would work extra. I always worked more than 40 hours. I have never, ever, ever not worked just 40 hours. Even when I was primarily focused on YouTube, after I stopped selling insurance about 5 years ago or so, I put in way more than 40 hours on YouTube. I probably still do. Lately, I haven't, but up until the last few weeks, I have. You got to be willing to put in the time and do the work. And if you're not, you only have yourself to blame. And, if you are unable to make it and you lose it all, you only have yourself to blame. I really don't want to see anyone lose it all. But if you're in a position right now where things are tight and inflation has put you in a position where you can't, afford anything extra, or you're struggling to just afford groceries, you got to do more. There are a lot of opportunities out there. If you're not doing more, it's because you're lazy. And then again, you only have yourself to blame. All right. Final thoughts, babe. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I guess then we should probably start to wrap up the show. 1 hour and 38 minutes. Well, let me just say, in this closing segment, Don, I think what this episode really comes down to is understanding what ordinary people are going through. A lot of people are working. They are trying. They are budgeting. They are cutting back. So there are people that are doing the right thing, but they're not moving the needle forward. They're getting discouraged. Okay? You got to think outside the box. Freelancing, gig work, all that's where it's at. Be an independent contractor, at least on the side. Keep your W-2 job if you have one and it's paying your bills, right? But if you need more, if it isn't provided enough for you, you have other opportunities. So yes, a lot of people are working. They are trying. They are budgeting. They are cutting back, just like we've cut back. They are taking extra jobs, like we have. They are using credit carefully, like we have. And they are making sacrifices that nobody else sees. But the cost of living continues to place pressure on them. We should not judge people simply because they are struggling. Let me repeat that again, because some people online have really pissed me off lately on, how I feel they're not, taking into consideration there are people that are truly, legitimately struggling. We should not judge people simply because they are struggling. I saw you roll your eyes, and that's okay. I still love you anyway.
Good.
We do not always know what bills they are paying, what medical problems they are dealing with, what family members they are supporting, or what unexpected expense just entered their lives. Inflation is not only an economic issue, it is a human issue. It affects mental health, relationships, families, health decisions, career choices, and the way people imagine their future. But even during difficult times, people are finding ways to adapt. That is the key word. Pedro Santiago. He used to be Pedro DoorDash Santiago. He's now Pedro Mr. Bet on You Santiago. Look him up on YouTube. He's a great guy from St. Louis, Missouri. I've learned a lot from him. Even though I've been an entrepreneur longer than him, I've learned a lot from him, especially about freelancing and stuff, right? Okay. But here's the thing. Okay. You got to adapt. People are finding ways to adapt. They are working together, learning new skills, finding additional income, reducing expenses, helping family members, and refusing to give up. That's a big one. Refusing to give up. Give me a
Never give up.
Quad. High five.
Right above, the first thing I noticed when I moved in is he has a paper that he has in a protective plastic cover
Over the microwave. Above the microwave.
Above the microwave. And it says, never give up.
Never give up.
And I saw that and I was like, yes, never, ever, ever give up.
So if you are struggling with the high cost of living right now, know that you are not alone. Take an honest look at your situation, create a plan, ask for help when you need it. Do not allow embarrassment to prevent you from using available resources. Stop being embarrassed, suck it up, and do what you need to do to provide for your family and yourself, but also probably your family too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. And do not measure your worth by the amount of money in your bank account.
True.
Also, don't let anyone else measure your worth. Don't ever.
Because quite honestly, none of us really know what is in each other's bank accounts.
That is true. Your financial situation may be difficult, but it does not define who you are. Keep working, keep planning, keep adjusting, and keep believing that your circumstances can improve. Because sometimes surviving is an accomplishment, and every step forward matters. So, babe, this was a really important one, and we're going to do part 2 next week. But before we go and right off to the sunset, right? Just like I always say every week,
don't take life for granted.
Don't take life for granted. And with that being said, it is time to start wrapping this up. All right. You've been listening to the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, and this was episode number 67, titled, How Are You Surviving 2026 Inflation? One more time. Episode number 67 of the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast was titled, How Are You Surviving 2026 Inflation? One last time before we get on out of here. Wow, I'm losing my verbiage. If you are listening to us on the audio-only podcast network, such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon's Music, my lady's favorite,
iHeartRadio.
One more time.
iHeartRadio.
A third time.
Oh, iHeartRadio.
And the fourth time.
iHeartRadio.
My lucky number is 4, so fourth time is the charm, not 3.
I'm glad we're not doing my lucky number because it's 11.
Oh, okay.
That would be too much.
We're on iHeartRadio. We're also on Amazon's Audible. We're also on YouTube's music, audio, and video, and many of the unknown and not as popular audio-only podcast networks. If you're listening to us audio-only anywhere, go to the description section about halfway down, wherever you're listening to us audio-only. You'll see the link to our the video version of our podcast, which will redirect you to our main channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. When you go there, make sure you subscribe, bang the bell, and select all notifications so you don't miss anything. Then go to that description section. A couple lines down, you'll see the link to our secondary live streaming channel, GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development, where we go live quite frequently. Lately, we've been focused on doing some freelance work, but we're going to get back to the live streams more regularly very soon. Make sure you subscribe over there, bang the bell, and select the notifications. We do Walking with Purpose live streams, in-studio streams, and a whole bunch more. With that being said, it is time to go. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, babe, be good to each other.